All right, we are pulling up to Koalua Ranch, where the Jurassic Park tour is, and I mean, we get to see like where King Kong and stuff was filmed too, but let's be real, Jurassic Park is the big one here. So it's absolutely stunning right here. Okay, we're turning in, yay! We've got 3 different things on the agenda today here at the ranch. So I'm super excited to see what we get. Oh, horsies! What we get to do. Squirrel! But look at those. Mountains are freaking insane. Super excited, super excited, super excited. All right. Hi, chickens. All right, we're waiting for our jungle expedition tour, part 1 of our 3-part tour today. This is where we'll have lunch. We get a big buffet included. In our whatchamajiggy. And then there's a market where they have locally grown stuff in there, but that doesn't open till 10. So here's the it's just so pretty.
Hey, how's it going? Hey. My people once lived. Oh wait, wrong island.
We've been back and forth and stuff like that.
Koalua Ranch. All right. So that's where we'll be.
It's where they filmed
Jurassic Park
Jurassic
and King Kong.
Yeah.
And some other stuff. But
She's recording.
I don't know. So
She's recording.
the mountains are insane. So that's just a quick view of everything here right now. And we'll keep going. All right, so it begins. This is the jungle tour. We have started officially.
Alrighty, good morning everybody. Happy Monday, it's Monday. Goodness gracious me. Happy Monday everybody. Welcome to Koalua Ranch, and thank you so much for coming to spend your mornings with us, your days with us, for however long you're going to be with us here at the ranch. I hope you have a wonderful day, and what better way to start your tour than with me. In case you just missed it, my name is Moku, and I'll be your tour guide, your tour driver, your personal photographer if you guys need any family photos. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to take care of you, here to make sure your days come to a really grand start. So welcome to Koalua Ranch. You can see it's a beautiful day today. 4,000 acres of pristine green land that we have here. And we're going to be seeing pretty much all of it. Now, Koalua Ranch consists of 3 ahupua'a. Now, an ahupua'a is an... Oh, hi, cows! Moo-moos! We're going to be seeing lots of them today. Then ahupua'a is an ancient Hawaiian form of dividing up the land. So think of an ahupua'a as like a little town or a village that was pretty much self-sustainable. And the way the Hawaiians would divide it up was by using the mountain ranges, but the easiest way to introduce this concept is you can think of the island like a pizza or a pie. Cut that pizza or pie into pieces, and each slice of that is an ahupua'a. So Koalua has 3 of them. We're going to be seeing all 3 of them. So right now we are in one. We are in the Koalua ahupua'a. We will be spending most of our time in the Hakipu'u ahupua'a. And then finally, we will be rounding out our days looking over Koalua Valley. It's at the end of an optional trail hike, some man-made stairs, but if you elect not to take that hike, the view from up there is still going to be very, very beautiful. But that's about halfway through the tour. We don't want to worry about that right now, but for the time being, we're going to be seeing some Hawaiian culture, Hawaiian structures, things like that. And I love giving this tour because I'm Hawaiian myself, so we're going to have a great morning today. Speaking of Hawaiian, we have our first point of interest coming up on the right side of the truck. These are our tiki. So you guys know them as tiki, but here in Hawaii, we call them ki'i because the Hawaiian language doesn't actually have the letter T in it. So switch the T and the K, take out the T, and you have ki'i. So these are the four main akua, or the four main gods that the Hawaiians would have worshipped way back in the day. So the one closest to you guys, the shortest little fella, his name is Kanaloa. He's actually the god of the ocean, as well as death, the afterlife, darkness, scary things, but kind of like Hades in Greek mythology. He's not a bad guy, he just happens to be in charge of things we associate with negativity. Next to him, with the hook over his head, that is Lono. And that hook over his head is actually a rainbow because Lono is the god of nature, agriculture, peace, fertility, all the good things in life. And those little sticks coming out of the top of his rainbow represent the 7 colors. Right next to Lono is Kane. Kane is the god of water, so fresh water, as well as creation, life. He's basically the opposite of Kanaloa, kind of the yin to his yang. And then finally, the guy at the end there with the braids, his name is Kukailimoku, but you guys can call him Ku for short. Ku is the Hawaiian god of war. So 4 main gods, the 4 pillars of Hawaiian society, what with voyaging, fresh water, nature, and of course warfare was quite heavily utilized in Hawaiian culture over the years. Before the rise of King Kamehameha I, or King Kamehameha the Great, in the 18th century, each Hawaiian island was essentially its own kingdom, constantly at war with one another, trying to usurp other powers. And then King Kamehameha the Great, his legend was foretold in prophecy and visions and dreams, kind of like King Arthur with the sword and the stone. So King Kamehameha is kind of our version of that. So Vahipana is somewhat of a Hawaiian holy site, an area where you would come and make offerings, pray, seek knowledge. Think of it as kind of like a community center. So 2 important structures that we have over here. Those 2 grass huts are called hale. Hale is the Hawaiian word for house, and they serve different purposes in here. So the first hut is called a hale kia'i. The kia'i is the foremost bodyguard of the ahupua'a, responsible for both guarding the chief or the king of the ahupua'a, as well as granting access into this vahipana. If you wanted to get access, you could do a few things. You could do an oli, which is a chant, sing a song, dance a hula, bring a gift. Many different things you could do to get the kia'i's permission, and if he thought you were doing that with a good intent, you could go inside and do what you needed to do. If you came with bad intent or tried to break in, he could turn you away, or if you really were bad, he could kill you right there on the spot, so not someone you wanted to mess with. The other hale is called a hale pahu. The pahu is the drum, and that's our communication center. So one drum in there represents the birth of a chief, the other would send the message that a chief had died. So if you wanted to get that message across the island, the kia'i would pull that drum out, play a certain cadence, the ahupua'a next door would hear that drum, hear that cadence, repeat it, so on and so forth until it reached all the way around the island coming back here. So we have 81 total ahupua'a on Oahu. It would take about 24 to 48 hours for that to come back here. So thank goodness for cell phones. Finally, you'll recognize Lono in there when we get a closer look, god of agriculture. We're a private nature reserve, so that's why we kind of put him in this educational area. Finally, the rocks. When we do go up there, I do ask that we not stand or sit on them because there's nothing holding them together except for gravity and friction. It's an ancient Hawaiian rock stacking technique called uhau humu pohaku, which translates to the weaving of the stones. So when you look at it, you'll see some stones are just kind of jammed in there, holding everything together. So just like Jenga, if you make the wrong move, the whole thing might come tumbling down. So for your safety and the integrity of the wall, we'll just observe it with our eyes and take pictures next to it. But other than that, if you want to stay in the truck, you can stay in the truck, but I'm going to hop out of the truck now, lift the gate down, and then we can go on up there to take some pictures. Look down, you'll see some rocks covered in moss. Right side, look up, you'll see some rocks underneath a tree. These are the original rock walls that the Hawaiians laid down about 400 years ago to mark the division between ahupua'a. So if you actually look down there, you'll see more rocks if you're on the left side. Back in the day, you would have been able to follow these rocks all the way down to the ocean, as well as all the way up to the base of the mountain, to the right of us.
Wow.
So we actually keep them there just as sort of a reminder of who used to be here. But now we are officially in Hakipu'u.
Hakipu'u.
Now, Hakipu'u translates in Hawaiian to English. It translates into broken hills. So that's another reason we say this is the bumpiest ride on the ranch, because the Hawaiians literally knew how bumpy it was even without cars. Like, it was hard to navigate, especially in this more hilly area. So that's why we tell you guys, but welcome to Broken Hills, everybody. Broken backs, as some of us kind of joke around with some of the people who can't drive at the ranch. But we're in an area called Pilali Grove right now. So Pilali is the sap that grows inside of a kukui nut tree. Now, I'm sure many of you are familiar with kukui nuts. If any of you guys are staying in like Waikiki, you've seen a billion ABC stores by now. And inside those ABC stores, they'll sometimes sell these kukui nut lays. And the kukui nut is that round, shiny, black seed threaded together to create a lei. So that's what a kukui nut is. And the kukui nut tree, it's everywhere on the side of the ranch, specifically on our left and on our right. So kind of white bark. In the sun, the leaves of the kukui nut tree actually glow like kind of a neon white. It's kind of hard to see right now because we're in the shade. But you can, if you look around the tree, you'll see these little green pods. And inside of those pods are the kukui nuts that we use for the lei and all that stuff. But I want you to take a closer look at the leaves. Some of them have 5 prongs. I call them like our Hawaiian maple leaf. Some of them have 3 prongs. And if you really squint, they kind of look like pig's hooves.
Yeah.
And there is a reason that they look like pig's hooves. Now, of course, the boring explanation that there's a scientific reason. But the fun Hawaiian reason is that there's a mo'olelo associated with the kukui nut tree. So what is a mo'olelo? A mo'olelo is an ancient Hawaiian legend or story that explains how things came to be the way that they are. So for the kukui nut tree, we have to talk about 2 other demigods, or sorry, 2 other minor gods, major gods, one of them. But their names are Pele and Kamapua'a. So Mele, not a minor, Pele, sorry everybody. Pele, not a minor god by any means, very important goddess here. Pele is the goddess of fire and volcanoes here in the islands, and she calls the Big Island her home. We actually still have active volcanoes on the Big Island, so we know full well that Pele is still alive and kicking to this very day. Now her sometimes lover, his name is Kamapua'a. Kamapua'a is the pig god. He's also somewhat of a trickster god, able to transform into different forms, different beings, kind of like Loki in Norse mythology. So in our story, Kamapua'a upsets Pele very, very badly one day, and he doesn't want to get burned by her lava, so he turns himself into his usual form, which is that of a pig, and runs away. Now Kamapua'a, that last section, Pua'a means pig in Hawaiian, so Kamapua'a means pig god, pig man, something like that. So he turns into a pig, runs into the forest to try to hide from Pele, but Pele knows his tricks. She's looking for a pig. So what does Kamapua'a do to sort of disguise himself further? He decides to disguise himself as a kukui nut tree. Disguise is pretty good for a little bit, however, Pele notices some of the leaves on one particular kukui nut tree look like the hooves of a pig. The hooves of a pig that she recognizes. She knows that it's Kamapua'a. He didn't fully transform into the kukui nut tree, so she's able to tell that that is him, throws some lava at him, and burns him. He turns himself back into a pig, runs toward the seashore, knowing his only full escape is going to be into the ocean. So as he jumps into the ocean, he transforms into another form that he can transform into, and that being a fish called the Humuhumunukunukuapua'a. You guys might have heard that word before. It's our state fish here. But look at the end of the word there. Humuhumunukunukuapua'a. There's that name. Kua'a meaning pig. That is the other form of Kamapua'a. When you look at that fish, he also kind of looks like a pig at certain angles. So that's our mo'olelo for how we have our kukui nut trees and how we have the Humuhumunukunukuapua'a. Now, the reality of the kukui nut is that there is a lot of use that you can get out of it. One use, the oil on the inside, very, very good for your skin. If you see kukui nut infused anything here in Hawaii, definitely get it because it can help with skincare if you're into that. Use number 2, it's called a candle nut tree in English. That's because the oil is very flammable. So if you were to light it on fire, you'd have a light source that would burn for about 15 minutes max. And Moana actually, when you watch the scenes at night in Moana, anytime there is a torch, they're using kukui nut. So fun little detail. I'll mention one last use for it in a second, but I do want us to be able to take a look at our beautiful Kaneohe Bay to the left of us. This is Makaha Lookout, everybody. Very clear day. You can actually see Molokai from here. If you look at those two small islands in the distance, those are our walking elephants. To the right of the walking elephants is Turtle Island, and in between that, if you look really closely, you can see a mountain rising up by those clouds in the distance. That is Molokai. Usually can't see it, but it's clear enough today that you can actually see Molokai from here. So very cool. Very good day for you guys to come. We have Mokuli'i Island over there to the left of us. Of course, now here in Hawaii, it has a nickname, Chinaman's Hat. Not offensive by any means. Meant to honor many of the immigrants who came to Hawaii during the plantation days. So Mokuli'i, Chinaman's Hat, one or the other. And then finally, this is our Moli'i fish pond. This fish pond belongs to Koalua. It's still functioning. And it's probably one of the oldest structures that we have here. It's about 850 to 1,000 years old. The Hawaiians have old built it very, very long ago, and we're still able to catch fish. And the way that the fish ponds would work around the island is that there's a little sluice gate at the edge. When the tide is high, the fish will smell the algae that grows inside of brackish water. They'll swim in, eat the algae, nibble at it, yum, yum, yum. When they try to leave through the same gate that they came into the fish pond through, they're now too big to fit back out, kind of like Hansel and Gretel. They can't get out. So the Hawaiians, they worked harder, smarter, not harder. And any time that you didn't have to go out into the open ocean to fish was just more convenient as well as safe, since we don't have big fancy boats. They only had ba'a, or canoes. Finally, we'll do three filming locations. This half of the fish pond, this was the Mosasaurus tank from Jurassic World. Looks nothing like it did in that movie because they did a lot of CG to kind of disguise it. So what they did is they actually removed the trees on the edge of the fish pond, replaced them with the stands from SeaWorld San Diego, dyed the water a nicer shade of blue closer to the ocean, and then CG'd the mountain range on our right behind the fish pond where the ocean is. So again, if you don't believe me, there are some VFX breakdowns on YouTube that you can check it out. They did a lot of work to disguise it. And then finally, two 51st Dates places I want to talk about. Right on the edge of the fish pond, close to here, is where the Hukilau Cafe was built for 51st Dates. And then the parking lot closer to the water is where Drew Barrymore and Adam Sandler have their little dance after they meet for the first time. And then finally, if you follow this bay closest to us to that first point, kind of hard to see, but there is a pier at that first point. That pier is the pier that Lucy runs out onto when she finds out that she has short-term memory loss in 51st Dates. And if you were to go inland from there, you would be able to see the house that served as their home in that movie. Finally, there's an island kind of directly across from us. Any fans of classic television who have seen Gilligan's Island, that island is Gilligan's Island. So that's the island that they use for the opening credits during the Fateful Trip. That is the island that they use as the reference point for the theme song. And then of course they filmed it over in California. But we get to call Gilligan's Island our very own island here in Hawaii. You can kind of see it across the bay from us. All right, so let's continue on. Make sure those seatbelts are fast. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Indiana Jones.
Good job, you guys. If you can't tell, I love Disneyland. So right in front of us, our main mountain. This is called Pu'u'ohulehule. Pu'u'ohulehule translates to hill of crashing waves. So imagine we're in the middle of a big storm in the ocean. The two largest waves in that storm crash into one another, frozen in time right in front of us, going about 2,000 feet up into the air. We're not going up that high, but if you follow the ridge down to the right, where it kind of curves off there at the very end, that is called our saddleback, and that is where our optional saddleback hike is going to be. Now, I hesitate to call it a hike because it's not like that challenging. It's pretty much just man-made stairs. It's a little dirt, kind of like dirt man-made stairs, but super simple to get up. You can see Koalua Valley from up there. Koalua Valley is our largest ahupua'a, and that's also where we filmed Jurassic Park, Jumanji, Godzilla, Wind Talkers, Lost, many things like that. So if you want to take it, you'll see the stairs when we get up there. It's just about 5 minutes to get to the top, 5 or 6 minutes, but if you don't want to do it, that's totally fine. Like I said, when we get up there where we're going to be parking the truck, it's still beautiful to look down at Hockey from up there. But we're not going to be there for a little bit. We have a few more things to show you on the way up there. More blackbacks. So taking a look to our right, these trees with the roots growing out of the ground, very unique looking tree. This is called a hala tree, or in English you might know it as the pandanus. Now, Hawaiians held these trees in very high regard because of their use for both jewelry as well as personal hygiene. Now the leaves that grow on the hala tree, you'll get a better view of them over here on the left side of the truck. You can see they can get pretty long once they get old. So they're turning brownish color at the very end, and then when they die, they simply fall off the tree. They have a natural barb that grows on them as well that keeps animals from eating the leaves. But when it's dead, the Hawaiians, they would pick up the dead leaves, take the barbs off, and then they would be able to weave it into a form called lauhala. Lauhala, it looks like braided together dry leaves. Very useful as far as jewelry goes. They can make it into earrings, bracelets, necklaces, things like that. But you may have also seen around the island some lauhala hats, lauhala bags, lauhala mats. They're everywhere. It's a very versatile leaf. You can find a lot of uses for the leaf. Even though it's dead, the Hawaiians were really good at finding uses for things even after they had died. Now there is a fruit that grows in the hala tree. On that fruit is famine fruit, meaning the Hawaiians would only eat it in times of terrible famine, and the reason for that is because the hala fruit tastes like soap. If you like the taste of soap, that's great, then you can have all the hala fruit you want. But the Hawaiians wouldn't eat it. They would usually try to starve themselves rather than having to eat it. Many people think it's a pineapple because if you look to the left of us in this tree, you'll see some hala fruit growing, and they kind of do look like pineapples. Especially when they're ripe. These are a bit younger. I think they kind of look like green pine cones at this stage as well. And then the leaves that come out of the top of the hala tree, they look like the leaves that come out of the top of a pineapple as well. You'll see that they're a little it's kind of segmented. You actually can pull little pieces of it off, and it looks like a candy corn when it's ripe. So we'll get a better view of other hala fruit in a little bit, but I like to point that tree out just because you can see it. You can see all the leaves right before the picking so that we can start weaving them together to create lauhala. Now, instead of eating the hala fruit, the Hawaiians would actually pluck pieces off, let it dry out fully, and then when it's dry, the little tendons that connected each piece of the fruit to the core of the fruit would be thick enough and soft enough that the Hawaiians could actually use dried hala fruit as a toothbrush. In addition to that, they could also use it as a paintbrush. It has a very similar consistency to a paintbrush. So when we get to our second stop, I'm going to look for some dried hala fruit to show you guys, but combined with the kukui nut oil and the natural toothbrushes, Hawaiians have really great hygiene. Plus, of course, no excuse not to take a bath. We're surrounded by water, so Hawaiians definitely smell really good all year round, I think. Other than that, I do want to go back to the kukui nut really quickly because I never mentioned the last thing that the kukui nut is good for. The kukui nut, really great as far as medicine goes. However, the medicine doesn't cure like a headache or a flu or a cold or anything like that. The only thing it'll cure is constipation because the kukui nut oil is a very strong laxative. So we have a saying here at the ranch, if you eat too much kukui, you will be kukuing all day long. It's pretty much, hey, that's the biggest laugh that joke has ever gotten, thank you. Pretty much, it tastes like macadamia nuts, so you're better off eating those. Finally, last plant I'll talk about before we get up to our next stop is the mango tree. There are a lot of mango trees in this valley specifically. 3 ways to identify a mango tree. Number 1, of course, if there's a mango in a mango tree, you're looking at a mango tree. Way number 2, from far away, most mango trees kind of look like pieces of broccoli. So you can see all of these quote-unquote broccoli trees off to the left of us growing in this valley, and there is a reason we have so many, which I'll touch upon after our second stop. And thirdly, a lot of mango trees will have leaves of different color growing on them. So some of these mango trees have like dark green, light green, kind of like a yellowish green. Some even have red or orange leaves, depending on the age of the tree. So you'll see just how many we have in a little bit. But I'm going to get us up to our second stop now so that we can have as much time as possible at our bird's eye view. So I'll hop off the mic one more time, get us to the top of this mountain. We still have some residual Chihu energy to get us up.
Alright. You can tell how out of shape I am. Because I'm breathing heavy. But we made it to the top of whatever this is.
Let's get right there and have Mom take a picture of all three of us. Well, that's good.
Hold on, I'm recording.
Toyota especially loves from here. Now, before we head down the mountain proper, taking a look to our left, you can see a little brown hut in that clearing. That's where we just were. That was a little hut behind our truck. And if you look diagonally up to the right, where that kind of a clearing is on that mountain ridge, that's where you guys all just hiked up to. So you would never be able to tell that there's a little pathway leading up there. But this mountain ridge here serves as a natural wall. So you were literally straddling two different ahupua'a at once, kind of like the 4 points that we have on the mainland for 4 states at once. But yeah, congrats everybody. You did it. Trying to see if there's any strawberry guava growing near us. This hill drops off quite quickly, so unless it's growing at the right angle, we won't be able to get it. Darn. Picked them all this weekend.
Rude.
Hello, maybe we'll see a citrus fruit or something like that. Now the valley we're about to enter is called Koalua Valley. Queen Koalua was the wife of King Kamehameha III, who ruled over the kingdom of Hawaii from in the earlier half of the 1800s. Not sure the exact dates, but just about then. Now Queen Koalua was absolutely beloved by her husband, so much so that he gifted her this entire valley to pretty much do with as she pleased. And you can see just how beautiful it was. What a view to have. I guess we have bathrooms up here now. But off to our left, beautiful Koalua Valley named after our queen. Now, why do we have so many mango trees? It's because of her. So you guys know how to identify mango trees from afar now. You can see them dotted all over this valley, as well as some growing as close to the ocean as like right there on the shore. Now, mangoes were Queen Kauaua's favorite fruit. She absolutely loved them. But mangoes are not native to Hawaii. And at the time of her life, we didn't have any mango trees here in the island. So she would have to wait for merchants or sailors to come in with shipments of mangoes before she could have any. So anytime that happened, she would more often than not buy the entire stock because she never knew when she was going to get to have mangoes again. Now, she died at a very young age, unfortunately. And to honor her, her people, they wanted to plant mango trees for her. Mango trees, such as the one we have on our left right here. Probably one of our oldest mango trees. You can see just how wide the trunk is, and some of the rocks are being overtaken by the tree on the left of us as well. Now, many of the mango trees in this valley were planted by her people. She actually invited 33 families from around this area to live in Hakipuku completely free of charge. She just wanted them to, take care of the land, the animals. They're Hawaiian. That's part of their daily life anyway. So it wasn't a huge lifestyle change for them. So when she died, they planted all these mango trees here, and they're still producing fruit to this day. So many of these trees are just about 200 years old, and you can see just how far and widespread they are, even growing up as far as the side of that mountain. So thanks to Queen Koalua, this valley is absolutely chock full of those mango trees. Now, unfortunately, they're not producing fruit at this time of year. We actually picked them pretty clean back in May. However, if you have a hankering for like any fresh food or fresh fruits or anything that we grow or raise here at the ranch, our Koalua Growing Market, kind of where the entrance of the ranch is by the Ranch House Buffet, they have fresh fruit, fresh meats, fresh snacks, chocolate, things like that. Definitely worth a visit if you're ever like having a hankering for food, as well as Anti-Taps Cafe. But if you want like a real like local experience or like real good local fruit, any of those pop-up stands that pop up on the side of the road, like the fresh fruit stands where they have like their trucks parked in like a tent, those are all super good. So fresh fruit, not hard to come by here in Hawaii. You can't go wrong with any of them. A little bumpy, Now the ranch itself, owned by the Morgan family. So the ranch was founded in 1850 by a man named Dr. Garrett P. Judd. He was a doctor from Massachusetts. He came over with a shipment of missionaries, not to preach the word, but just to come and help the Hawaiians deal with the diseases that had been introduced here. The Hawaiians, much like the Native Americans over on the mainland, they didn't know what smallpox was, malaria, chickenpox, so on and so forth. So the population was being absolutely devastated by these diseases. So he came over to help the Hawaiian people, and he fell in love with them. He fell in love with Hawaii, so much so that he actually renounced his U.S. citizenship and became a full-fledged member of the Kingdom of Hawaii, eventually serving as an advisor to King Kamehameha III himself. Now, Dr. Judd actually wrote the first medical textbook completely in Hawaiian, Lolo Hawaii. So he went full native when he came over here. Now, King Kamehameha was very grateful to him for what he did for Hawaii and its people, so he actually offered him to buy Koalua, Ahupua'a, the entirety of it, 622 acres, and he took him up on that. So 622 acres for $1,300. That's the price of an iPhone. Of course, even adjusting for inflation, that's still not that much for how much land you're getting. About 10 years later, Dr. Judd purchased Koalua Valley, or Jurassic Park Valley, for about $5,000 to $6,000. That's 2,200 acres. Once again, not that much. And then finally, in 1870, Dr. Judd's son bought Hakipuhu for about, we have 1,100 acres here, just about $3,000. So all 4,000 acres of the ranch was purchased for just about $10,000 to $11,000, which again, inflation does not even compare to what you would have to charge to get this. Enough that a rumor has it that Disney wanted to purchase the ranch. This is where Aulani was supposed to be, but the Morgan family said no, even though the price tag is in the billions. But thankfully they said no, of course. We'd rather keep it nice and green, no development, especially on this side of the island. You can't get this much green at very many other places. So Disney packed their things and went over to Koalua on the west side of the island, which I think is a better fit. Just fits over there, and of course you can't beat that sunset over on the west side. And now the current owner of the ranch, his name is John Morgan. He is a 7th generation direct descendant of Dr. Judd. So the same family has been in control of the ranch since 1850. And thankfully it's still a ranch. But as we cross that stream, everybody, we have actually entered into the country of Colombia. Because we're on our movie portion of the tour, we're going to be seeing a set from a film called Triple Frontier. Now, Triple Frontier came out in 2019, exclusively on Netflix, so not a lot of people have seen it, but a lot of big stars are in the film. Ben Affleck, Oscar Isaac, Pedro Pascal, Charlie Hunnam, Garrett Hedlund. Big names in the movie. Ex-military vets are down on their luck financially, so they get them together, decide to go to Colombia and rob a drug lord of his many millions of dollars. So this is these are the gates of the compound that they break out of after they steal his money. Now the sandbags are filled with wood chips and not sand. It's just a little bit quicker to do that. And then these walls, these brick walls, are actually made of plaster and styrofoam carved to look like brick. Even these gates are made of wood. They're not made of metal whatsoever. Now there was some red coloring on these bricks a long time ago, but it's been about 6 years being subjected to the natural Hawaiian weather, so that's why it's kind of not as shiny as it was. Now they build these sets cheaply and quickly on purpose because you don't have a lot of time and you don't want to spend too much money, especially because you're going to be tearing these sets down pretty much as soon as you're done. So that's why even like at Universal Studios in Hollywood, many of their sets are just wooden facades and then everything in the back is like just wood scaffolding. Of course, here at the ranch productions, they can leave it if Koalua requests it, and then we add it to our tours and things like that. So that's why we have access to some of these very nice sets here at the ranch. Now in front of us, what we're going to be passing is a film site. So there's, a little bit of a difference. A film set is constructed, does not exist naturally. You build it, boom, you have a set. Film site is something that exists naturally, and then you just film on it without adding anything to it. So this field to the left of us, thankfully the lighting is very similar to how it appears in the movie. The movie in question being Jurassic World, 2015. This is the field where Zach and Gray, they're riding their gyrosphere, which is like those little hamster balls, and they get attacked by the Indominus Rex. This is the field where they filmed that. They had the gyrosphere on a little track, and they had 2 stagehands kind of pushing them slowly, and then they were edited out later. Fun fact about the glass on the outside, the glass was real for a little bit, but the CG artists on set said it would be too hard to edit out the reflections of the camera equipment, the crew, etc. So they took the glass off, filmed without it, and then added the glass in post. So when you watch Jurassic World, just know all of the glass is fake. Right across the street from Jurassic World, you have Skull Island, Kong Skull Island. Now this is a real helicopter that was purchased by the military, or from the military, excuse me. So they broke it down, shipped it on over here, put it back together, damaged it, destroyed it to make it look like a gorilla, knocked it out of the sky, bing bang boom, 2 weeks of work. Guess how long this shows up in the movie for?
Like 10 seconds.
17 seconds, you were very close. 17 seconds after 2 weeks of work.
Wow.
So literally, if you had to go to the bathroom at the wrong time, you would never see this helicopter in the movie. Now, last fun fact about this helicopter, if you look at the top of the rotors, you'll see like a dome shape on the top. That wasn't part of the helicopter when they purchased it from the military. They added that on later. That is actually a cooking wok to complete the look. The only reason we know it's a cooking wok is because the wind blew it down one day, and when our maintenance crew went to go put it back up, they saw that the price tag is still on there. So the price tag is still on there to this day. Why bother taking it off?
Okay,
So cooking wok, $8.99 to finish this gigantic helicopter prop.
That's fantastic.
And then look on the inside, you'll see they completely gutted it. No seats. They took the engine out as well just to make it lighter. You're not going to spend any time on any part of a set or a prop if the camera's not going to see it. So just to make it easier to transport and put back together, they completely gutted it. Now when productions come here, the question we get asked by a lot of our guests is, do tours still go through a live film set if they're filming here? And the answer is it depends. So filmmakers have 2 options when they come here. Option 1, if you want exclusive access to an area, you can do that. Very expensive, of course, but in addition to that very high fee, you also have to buy out every single seat on every single tour throughout the entire day for as long as you're going to be there if your film set is going to be obstructing, being on a tour path. In addition to, sorry, my music just started. In addition to that, you also have to pay employees to stay home if you don't want them walking through your set. So I would love to be paid to stay home while they're making a movie here. But so those 3 things add up very quickly, so much so that literally only one movie took advantage of that, and that was Wind Talkers way back in 2001. They used the entirety of Koalua Valley for that film. So definitely check it out. It's a huge battle scene. Finally, the option that everyone else takes advantage of is you can film here, but sometimes a tour vehicle might have to go through your live set. So let's just say, for example, they're filming at the set we're going to be seeing in a second. They'd have a security guard here. They'd stop us. Security guard would radio into the set, say there's a tour vehicle approaching. Once the person on set gets that message and relays it to everybody else, they have a maximum of 5 minutes. No matter what, 5 minutes you have to be done. So if you're here on a really lucky day, you might see them filming something. So for example, while they were filming Jurassic World, Chris Pratt during these downtimes while tour vehicles would go through, he would actually hide in the bushes and make dinosaur noises and then jump out and scare people. So you got to find a way to keep yourself entertained while you're not working. But speaking of Chris Pratt, we have our final set. This is our IREX paddock from Jurassic World. So I'm going to stop at multiple points so you can get different angles. If anybody needs to unbuckle and stand up to get those photos, by all means, you're welcome to do that. I'll tell you when the truck is going to move. But I'll make sure you guys have multiple angles for this set.
Awesome. This is cool.
I'll move up a little bit for you guys. There we go. But this is what the Hawaiians were definitely looking at when they named it. Now, Koalua translates to long back. The long back, excuse me, the long back that the name is referring to is the long back of a mo'o. A mo'o is an ancient Hawaiian lizard monster, gigantic, pretty much Godzilla size. Now there's a goddess named Hi'iaka. She was making her way up the east coast of the island and ran into this monster. He would usually kill anybody in sight. However, He never faced a goddess before. So him and Hi'iaka got in this huge fight, lasted for 3 days. On the third day, Hi'iaka finally won, lifted the mo'o into the air and ripped his tail off. And she threw that tail into the ocean. So if you guys actually look at Mokuli'i Island or Chinaman's Hat when you leave, that is the tail of the lizard monster. You actually look at the left side of the mountain range where it kind of curves off there, you'll see a hole where his tail used to be. So that's where the lizard's tail used to be. Follow his back all the way to the right-hand side of the mountain range. You'll see it kind of curving off there at the end, forming a snout of some sort. And then there's also a small little black cave. It's kind of hard to see right now because the sun is shining on it. But right where the green area ends and the rock face, that stone part has a cave on it. That is the eye of the mo'o. So this entire mountain is the body of that lizard monster. That's where we get our name, Koalua, from. And now you all know another mo'olelo to add to your arsenal. If you haven't seen the eye yet, I'll point it out a little, at a few more points, just in case. So kind of the darkest place. You can kind of see it. He's squinting. He's kind of mad that he lost that fight. But these mountain ridges right now, kind of forming his rib cage. Yeah.
Okay.
And then, just in case, one more look at the eye of the mo'o dead ahead of us.
Oh, we see it.
Small head, big body.
Right there. Eyeball.
All right, everybody, that just about covers it. I've been throwing a lot of information at you guys for the last 90 minutes. So for this last section of the tour, I like to just play some music to kind of guide us along. You guys can relax, take everything in, the breeze, the green, the trees, anything you need. Taking off my tour guide hat, putting on my chauffeur hat as I take you all back to the depot, where I'll say goodbye to you in just a little bit.